Hello friends, and welcome again to Figure Study, where we are appreciating the form in a new series of Transformers for this channel. This is actually the first time that I'll be taking a look at something from the Transformers Energon line, and we're starting, possibly concluding, it depends. There aren't a whole lot in the line that I find all that interesting, but at the very least, today it is all about Energon Landquake. Now, Landquake, as I understand it, is a repaint of Landmine. I actually did used to have Landmine at one point, but while I thought Landmine was cool, I actually like the deco on Landquake a bit better, so I switched. Also, I found Landquake for a pretty decent price, so that's how that happened. So anyway, on to Landquake here. I will say I don't have the missile for him out. I do have it, but it's a missile, who cares? Now, the chief difference between decos in Landmine and Landquake is that Landmine was predominantly orange. Landquake obviously is predominantly white. I did initially think it would be kind of cool to have the two of them to do like a side-by-side comparison, but I don't have Landmine anymore, so can't do that. I can, however, do a side-by-side comparison with Astrid, so you can see how different the color variation is between Landquake and a stray Abyssinian. So now that Astrid has decided to join us, I suppose we can just move right on to things. Here we have Landquake as a sort of, I think the term is a half-track, which is like a truck with wheels in the front and treads in the back. And I think this is a pretty neat vehicle mode. It's surprisingly large compared to the newer stuff that I have. And I know as the years have gone on, the lines have sort of the figures have gotten smaller and more expensive. But this was a line that I pretty much missed in its entirety when it first came out, so this is still relatively a thing that I'm not familiar with. So yeah, he is a good size. Since we're talking about sizes, Since we're talking about sizes, why not do this right now? So there we have Landquake, and a Titan's Return Deluxe, and Samus. So you can see he is a pretty sizey vehicle. At least in his half-track mode. There we go. Yeah, he's not bad. As far as the deco and whatnot goes, there is, not movie toy or Titan's Return level molding, but there is just some nice sort of mechanical details on things like the crane arm, these little side panels here, the treads, the funky-looking truck front, which I feel like it's supposed to compact up more, and I'm just, for whatever reason, not getting it, but I don't know. It's got that gap there that kind of bugs me. I don't know, it's been a while since I've transformed this guy, so I'm probably just doing it wrong. Yeah, it's lots of nice little details, like the rivets in there, and the overall shape of this vehicle mode is pretty darn cool. Like, I like this sort of angled bit on the front here, the spiky plow scoop thing. It's very, very neat. There's also like this kind of intake on the top here. Yeah, it's a neat looking vehicle mode, and I do also really like the colors on here, which I said, as I stated previously, with trading Landmine in for this guy. So yeah, this color scheme I do really like. I'm not super into the light blue, which I believe is referred to as Energon blue, but it's fine. It's not that prevalent, so I can deal with it. But I really like this like predominantly white with a little bit of black and like the silver for the scoop there. And I really like the blue for the windows there. That's just a really nice shade of blue that hopefully will eventually show up properly in the final video, assuming I can get the color balances right. That is a very, very nice shade of blue. And yeah, this is just a very, very nifty vehicle mode that, as everyone who's familiar with Transformers probably knows, because this toy is not remotely new. There we go. So the vehicle mode splits off, and it sort of becomes like a little battle station and tiny truck. And the smaller, I'll get this off to the side here. The smaller, like, on its own truck mode is, I mean, it rolls better, but it's a little stumpy. It still looks cool, like this part, but then it just kind of stops and like it just sort of becomes something that's cute that's trying to look mean. Like, yeah, it's the same details with the exception of now these are a little bit, these pipes are a little bit more easy to see, that are nicely detailed, I will say that. And you got these extra sets of back wheels, which forgot to point out before, but yes, the wheels are painted. Looks so good. And the battle platform thing, there is nothing new here. This is all the same as what was on the half track. Though, probably should look a little bit more detail in here, like these molded hydraulic arms that are really cool. This bit here, this is where the missile would go that I just currently have in storage because it's a big, ugly, this color missile. The main reason I have it tucked away is because this thing, I think just because of the age of this particular toy, like not Landquake in general, but like just this figure that I have in my hand, because of the age, the missile's on a hair trigger, and it would sometimes go off even without touching it, so better to just have it off to the side, tucked away, where I'm not going to lose it. And it is a good overall look, good overall color. I really like the style here. It's kind of a shame that there aren't more figures in Energon that have grabbed my attention, because Landquake, and by extension Landmine, are really neat looking. Anyway, let's do the transformation thing. Alright, so here we have Landmine with his sort of battle platform thing. And I'm not crazy about this, it's just the half track stood up, and because of the way things are like fighting with me right now, I can't quite get it to stay flat. Like it wants to either be like this or like this. So yeah, it's fine, I guess. And, you know, he can stand behind it like he's attacking something. But that's not the cool thing about this. We'll deal with that in a little bit. But you're all probably already familiar with what the actual cool thing about it is anyway. As for Landquake himself, he is pretty cool. I actually do really dig his robot mode. I'm a little bit bummed that the ratchets in the hips there are not, they're not even. So you can see that, like, they're not right. Like, that one comes out either too far or not far enough. This one comes in too far, or, yeah, it's just, that kind of bugs me. But that's more of a QC thing than a design thing. Yeah, this is a really nice looking robot mode. His arms are a little bit stumpy for my taste, but that will be fixed. But I like how the plow thing in front ends up becoming his feet. That's cool. And because of the way that it transforms, it actually gives him, like, ankle articulation, which, like, there are toys that I have that are much newer than this that don't have that, so that's pretty cool. Also, it's kind of funny how part of the plow ends up becoming like a codpiece, but it looks really good. I do very much like the overall aesthetic going on here. Just the white, again, looks nice with a little bit of the silver, a little bit of brown, which doesn't actually bother me. There is some discrepancy here and there when it comes to the coloring, though. Like the fact that there's like this sort of dark gray color for the feet that you don't really see anywhere else. Well, not just the feet, everything that made up the plow. And you don't really see that color anywhere else in robot mode. I'm just kind of wondering, you know, maybe they could have made this that color, because this is actually like a dark blue, much like the back here. And I just don't know why they couldn't have done this as the same shade as the other, but whatever. But I'm fine with everything else, and it's a lot of it is vehicle mode stuff just repositioned into a robot form, and it does look good. Again, the light blue I'm not crazy about, but I'll be able to forgive it in a minute. Yeah, it all comes together nicely. I like this, how the silver bit that was a nice detail in vehicle mode becomes a nice chest detail here. And he's quite clean, all things considered. Like, just proportionally speaking, especially considering the time period that this was released in, he's just a very clean, pretty well-proportioned robot. Like, just that tiny little bit of a backpack, and yeah, the arms are a little bit small in comparison to the rest of him, but again, that will change. And real quick, take a look at the head, which I do very much like the head. It's a neat look. It's got this kind of like, it's almost like he's wearing some kind of like a bird-themed helmet from like a Super Sentai series or something. But it works really well as a robot head, and I like the kind of split visor effect. And you can kind of see the eyes underneath that, so it really is like he's wearing a helmet. And it is just that, you know, brown plastic, but like the little bits of silver, which again, work well. I like that they actually did paint the face silver, so that you can kind of, again, see it like underneath the visor there. Yeah, it's very cool. I also have to say, I like the engineering on this guy. It's simple, but surprisingly clever with how this whole thing hinges back, and this piece here that kind of covers up the arms a bit in vehicle mode, or the shoulders, I should say. It flips in to fill that gap that the head was sitting in. This is a very smartly designed toy. And for the obligatory size comparison, here you have Landquake next to our Titans Return Deluxe and Samus. Yeah, he's not small, even though the vehicle mode without without all this junk, even though that's a kind of stumpy version of of the combined vehicle mode, this is a pretty decently sized guy. It's like a little bit taller than a Voyager, I guess. Yeah, I like him. Which, as I know I've said a few times over, it's rare for me to be this enamored with the look and construction, I guess you could say, or engineering of a toy from this particular era. I know there are some, and I've actually got a few in the mail from the Cybertron series that I'm really looking forward to messing around with. But a lot of the videos, because in my spare time I watch videos for figures to try and find other stuff that I may want to get for my collection, and a lot of the videos I've seen for figures from this line, I'm looking at them and it's just like, doesn't really impress me, and in some cases just like, oh, that is ugly. But I really, really like Landquake. He does look very cool. Even just the basic form. And yes, that's right, basic form. He said, as if you all aren't already painfully familiar with what's coming, but maybe there's a handful of people who don't know. So anyway, we'll get to that real quick. We're going to need to bring this bad boy in. Now, this isn't very complicated to do, but we'll speed it up anyway. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Oh yeah. This is why I, and probably everyone else, got Energon Landmine and Landquake, because this is, what is this like? I think they call it the Brute mode, and this looks fantastic. This is just like, like all it is just slapping the treads on the arms and folding up the platform bit a little bit to make a backpack, but this looks so great. Now, of course, this throws off the proportions because the arms are huge compared to the rest of the body, but that kind of works for me just because the arms are huge with huge claws. And yeah, this looks fantastic. It's pretty much the exact same robot, just with some added bits, but just the silhouette that this creates is so much more interesting to me. Again, not to say that I thought the other version, the default version, was bad, but it's a very, very cool look. But all this combined, it still works with that aesthetic. Like just the color matching in the claws now, like that with that orange and white, and now we've actually got a gray that's close to the gray in the feet. The giant tread bits just look cool. This is a very, very neat form. And one of the things that I actually liked about Landquake over Landmine is the fact that because of the arms being brown, while they're not the same shade as the tread, they are darker. And because they're darker, that makes them blend in a little better, so it looks a little bit more like a cohesive arm rather than, an arm with a claw tread thing stapled to it. Not to say that it was a huge problem with Landmine, but here, I think it definitely works better. One downside to this combination is the fact that you do sort of lose sight of the head. It is still very much in there, but you've just got so much stuff around it, it makes it kind of difficult to see. That's one of the reasons why I angled this so that you could tilt it up, because, I mean, it doesn't do you much good to tilt down anyway, but this also enables you to kind of move it out of the way so that you can see the face. Because this does not angle up anymore, and it doesn't, like, there's no room for it to spin around the other way. So basically, with this thing here, he can't really look right, because his vision is just going to be obstructed by this thing. So that's how I kind of get around that. Now from the side, he has way more of a backpack, but he still stands really well, partially because his feet are... I'm pointing at his feet like you can see what I'm doing. His feet work pretty well. I mean, they don't look like they should, but they do hold up quite well, even though they don't have huge heels. Still looks really cool like this. You know, he is gonna wreck some Decepticons. Could actually say he looks beastly. And then we of course have our typical size comparison, and he doesn't gain any height. I mean, technically I guess he kinda does, just because this backpack section goes up a bit, even more if you count the wings and back, but just from the foot to the head, he does not gain any height whatsoever, but he gains a lot more bulk. And I think that works in his favor a lot. It's very cool. Definitely looks like something you don't want to mess with. And I think the reason I'm not bothered by the semi-gorilla-ish proportions with this mode is, you in the center, buddy, is because, like, it looks like he's got armor and stuff attached to him. And so it works that way because, I mean, he's got armor bits. So yeah, he's got the large arms, but they are obviously armor bits, so some some disproportional stuff is to be expected. Yeah, I really like this guy. He is a very, very neat bot. Wish I was more into more of the older stuff, but you gotta start somewhere. Maybe this will get me into the older lines a little bit more. Anyway, I think that is going to do it. That has been my look at Energon Landquake, and by extension, Energon Landmine. Again, I wish I could have done a comparison between the two of them, but I sold off Landmine, and I took too long to make this video and ended up selling off Landmine, so sorry. But this guy's still very cool. They're both really cool. It's just, which color scheme do you prefer? I prefer this one, as I said. So yeah, rambling, sorry, stopping. Though I am curious, if you have Landquake or Landmine or whatever the green one was called, probably Land something, Landfill, I don't know. If you have any of them, or if you've seen pictures of them, what's your preferred color scheme? Not saying anyone is wrong, just curious to know, because obviously this is mine, but they're all cool in their own right. Thank you everybody for watching. As per usual, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Any number of those three would make me a happy Rob. And remember, art is more than meets the eye.